talk about Jones. I wanna talk about Jones. I wanna talk about Jones, baby. Ooh. Ooh.
I don't know, man. I love the sound of that, but I feel like I don't have a Taco Bell Jones. Well, I don't have a basketball Jones because I am watching nonstop action every day. But yeah,
You're staying up for the late games too. You're watching them all.
There are definitely some late nights. I don't usually finish the late game on the West Coast, but the past few nights, I may or may not have been up past around midnight Eastern time, just keeping track of what's going on out there. But that's the other thing. I've been enjoying the game so much that I haven't really been keeping track of what's going on. Like I'm too enthralled in every game in the moment that I forget, I don't even remember who played yesterday. Mm-hmm. There's 3 games going tonight. There's 2 that are on right now. And
well, that's the beauty of the, especially first round, but second round is there's so much food coming that it's like, oh, I'm still hungry. I'm still eating. I still there's so much to keep track of. Literally, so much has happened in the last week. We could talk for hours.
I know. And I feel like last year, round 1 was not this way because the matchups weren't this exciting. This is round 2 level back and forth competition that we were when we previewed this, we were these are going to be over. These matchups are no good. And here we are just battling it out.
Salivating. Yeah,
there are some that are get them done and over with, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking back to round 1 last year. We pretty much had no series in the East went beyond 5 games. Our only quasi upset was Atlanta over New York, but that was a 4-5 matchup.
Yeah.
So, and then in the West, we had the Clippers edged out the Mavs in 7 games. That was a pretty sick series. And then Denver beating Portland 4-2, Phoenix, Lakers. I feel like it was the only intrigue was that Lakers Phoenix series.
Yeah. And AD got hurt. And then they all started doing the salsa dancing. But here we are, and the tables have turned, and Phoenix has a star that's hurt and could be in trouble here in round 1.
Yeah, let's start. Let's get the bad news out there first, and then move to more of the good news. Just how many injuries have rocked these teams in the last week? Because I want to say maybe it was last Tuesday that Donovan Mitchell, I think that was kind of the first.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, then I think Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, so
he's playing. He's good.
Oh, he is? Who has the
or did he go out in the game last night? Who has what?
No, who has the sprained MCL? Oh, am I thinking of Chris Middleton?
Chris Middleton went out. Luka was out to start.
Yep, missed the first 2 games.
I think he missed the first 3.
Was it game 4 that he actually started?
And he came back for game 4, and they ended up blowing that 4-point lead with 40 seconds left. And Gobert got that dunk from Donovan Mitchell, the alley-oop, to seal it in 100-99 or whatever.
Yeah.
After Luka hit the step back to put them up 4 with 38 seconds left. They somehow missed both free throws and gave up 5 points in the process. Or that series would be over. But here we are, 3-2, headed to game 6.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here with some of these series. There are other, I feel like we're forgetting a few other injuries. Namely, we forgot a MVP to caliber player for the 76ers, also playing through injury right now.
Well, he's not out with an injury. He doesn't count.
Well, it is definitely affecting
You're
the outcome of the series.
you're either hurt or you're injured. There's, injuries keep you out of games. If you're playing, you're just hurt. So
Is Ben Simmons hurt or injured?
I had to catch myself because I almost responded with a word that didn't answer either of those options.
Apparently,
he is neither.
according to a tweet,
His ego is bruised, but I don't know.
No, it's worse. So apparently he met with players, with teammates, and said, I'm not at a place mentally, and I don't want to, if I like put myself into too much stress and anxiety, that will aggravate my back. So it's like levels of injury, both mental and physical. It's spiraling out of control, this Simmons situation. I want to run through a couple other players here, notable injuries. Robert Williams was out for the first couple games. He started in game 3, and dude, he was killing it. I was following that game yesterday, and in one sequence he scored like three pointers back to back. So yeah, he's now back in the rotation. Clint Capella, he's been out in that series. And who else we got? Just the last one I'll mention is that Zach LaVine is in the health and safeties protocol. So another player, apparently COVID still exists, which was news to me.
Yeah, I didn't think players.
I thought the league had moved on, but
I thought once the playoffs started, the league basically got rid of COVID. I mean, once baseball season started, New York City got rid of COVID somehow. I mean, it's just immaculate that this occurred.
The timing was impeccable.
NBA playoffs and baseball.
So just my last question, we hit on some of those injuries. Which one of those players being out or not readily available to play will have the biggest impact on the current series?
It's got to be Devin Booker, right?
I mean,
you can say Embiid's injury is hampering him, but I feel like he's still, well, with the exception of game 5, like game 4, game 3, when they started talking about it, he was still putting up monster numbers. So I don't know. We will see.
But if the Sixers lose that series, it will, well, number one be because of Doc Rivers.
Well, yes. Number 2 would be because James Harden is a choke artist and can't step up in the biggest limelight when he's needed the most.
And then number 3 will be Joel Embiid's messed up thumb. Dude's gonna get surgery whenever maybe they're planning on an early exit so he can get surgery and heal up. One more year.
Just trust the process.
That's right. Trust the process. One more year.
And what they should have done is just not even have made that trade and still had Seth Curry and then just gotten James Harden in the offseason anyways. And we would be laughing about Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving getting swept in the first round.
Still losing to the Celtics. New York fans, I guess, have to be finding some joy in the fact that the Nets got absolutely rolled in the first round.
Except it happened to their rival.
Yes,
the Celtics.
That's right. So let's pull up our bracket here. Let's take a look at where some of these series are in what has turned out to be much spicier than what we were anticipating, Justin. For a variety of reasons. And I want to start in the East. We were kind of in line with nothing surprising here. Boston, Brooklyn. I mean, I think we expected the Nets to win at least 1 or 2 games here, but we figured the
Yeah.
Celtics would come out on top.
There were people picking them to win the championship out of the 7 hole after having to win the play-in to get there, having no defense, having no depth, having no coach, having no closer, having no leaders.
So yeah, that one just kind of burned out pretty quickly. Bucks, Bulls series practically over. I feel like we both knew the Bulls were kind of limping into the playoffs here. Heat.
Yeah, I mean, they surprised me in game 2. I don't know, caught Milwaukee napping, but I feel like this is going to be Milwaukee doing a coast. I feel like they're going to win these. I think they're going to probably win 4-1 in each of their series. There's probably going to be a game where they're just like, man, but even without Middleton, they just like the last 2 games have been non-competitive. I don't know. It's it's the Giannis show. We watched Kevin Durant flame out in glorious fashion, and Giannis is like,
"Oh
yeah, remember how everyone said he was the best player in basketball? Yeah, well, I have 2 MVPs and a championship to myself. So keep it coming, guys. Oh, and I knocked him out of the playoffs last year.
Yep. Yeah. So no surprises here. Heat, Hawks. Out of all of the series, this one to me has just been, I've even turned, this has been the earliest game on usually. And I don't know,
Hawks.
I just Heat Hawks. It's like
they also seem to be getting relegated to the NBA or the NBA TV game instead of TNT game or ESPN.
It's like, I don't know. It's just not a compelling series to me, and it's not. I mean, what was the game that was it? Game 3 that came down to the wire, and yeah, it was game 3. Like that was a phenomenal finish. Trae Young hits that teardrop in the lane, like Jimmy Butler misses the game winner. That was awesome. That was a great finish, but all these other games have just not felt competitive at all.
110-86.
Yeah, that's bad. Heat are starting to pull away. Yep, NBA TV. That just shows you the watchability score for this matchup. You got any other observations or insights for the East?
Well, I mean, I feel like just because it was a sweep, I mean, we didn't really spend that much time roasting the Nets, but I think this is how we're going to have to do this. You're a fan of The Office, right?
Yes.
Remember when Michael Scott is he's doing a cover of Supertramp for Toby's goodbye party, and he's like singing goodbye to Toby. I think we got to do that for our teams. We do that around the job site when somebody like comes or goes, like somebody leaves. But we got to be like, goodbye, Brooklyn. Hope must be nice. Hope you find your paradise.
Paradise. Oh. Yeah.
So
Jason Tatum. That's
done. Tatum has become the upper echelon. Oh, and I love how the narrative has changed that series to, well, maybe the Nets are just facing the greatest defensive team that's ever been formed ever.
All this praise for the Celtics in the aftermath.
It's just how many excuses can we make? Yes. Well, when let's see, the Celtics host the Bucks next week. Let's see just how great and all time that defense is, and whether or not they can do the same thing they did to Durant to Giannis Antetokounmpo. So
they're about to get punched in the
Let's
face.
let's just save let's just save our judgment. And I think there's still a lot of people saying that Kevin Durant is a better basketball player than Giannis. All right. And okay. But if Giannis goes up against the same Celtics team and just torches them and just makes them crumble, I just don't want to hear it from another person. I just don't. Don't come at me with this.
Yeah. So I know we're digging deeper into this like Bucks Celtics preview here, but who's even gonna guard Giannis?
Jason Tatum, Robert Williams,
You think they're gonna
Marcus Smart?
they're just gonna rotate what Tease? You think Daniel Tease is they're just gonna rotate guys on
Al
it? Like,
Horford, baby.
like I don't know.
I don't think Kelly Olynyk's coming in off the bench to rip somebody's arm out of their socket in that series. So
I just, man, like, yeah, if that's a competitive series and if the Celtics win it, then I will be buying that narrative of defense. But until then, they still got a lot of time to prove themselves.
yeah.
Raptors Sixers has
Oh man, I forgot.
turned. Yeah, I almost
The
flipped over the
spiciest
West here.
matchup of the
But
East.
this has also been, I think the word I would use to describe the series is a quagmire.
This is just
look at where we started here. I mean, game 1 blowout, game 2 like relative
blowout.
Yeah, still blowout.
And
Playoffs.
Toronto was never in any danger of winning either of those first 2 games. So let's put it that way. So then game 3, Toronto, they could have won that. In which case, you could have seen it be 2-2 going back to Philly. Like the whole thing could be on its head there instead of it being 3-0. Joel Embiid with the buzzer beater. We talked about with the bum finger, thumb, whatever, with the bum coach and the bum sidekick. But
this is going to 7 games. Right? This is going to a game 7 in Philly.
Game 6 in Toronto. I texted this to you the other night. Game 6 in Toronto. Scary hours, baby. Like
Jurassic Park. It's gonna be wild.
James Harden is no longer a top dog. He's not even the second. He's not even Robin. He is Alfred the Butler. He is third string, baby. He is like the third wheel. I mean, there's just, he is a shell of himself. He's lost his explosiveness, his quickness, and the rules change can't be understated. Has really affected his whole game. Now he still gets, I don't know, I would say 75% of his points during the course of the game are from the free throw line, but he's routinely going like 4 of 11.
He's not knocking down threes.
The step back, the quickness. I mean, obviously we're talking about elite basketball players here, but like compared to what he was, is just,
yeah.
It's gotten even worse.
He's
people wanted to say, I certainly remember somebody saying that, James Harden, once he gets to Philly, he's gonna be awesome. They're gonna be unstoppable. The fact that he quit on Houston and then on Brooklyn, that's no big deal. He's a great teammate. Well, I don't hear that. I don't hear any of that chirping. And I feel like there's quite a few 76er fans out there. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say are very concerned about the possibility of this series going to a game 7 and perhaps being the first ever NBA series to be up 3-0 and lose would be Doc Rivers. Like,
Does it again.
you have to fire him at that point, right? If this goes to game 7, he loses to being the only coach ever to lose a 3-0 lead. He can't stay here. He has to go. He can't have any more jobs in the NBA. Like,
just like, I mean,
I would say Doc Rivers, he's not coaching for his job. He's coaching for his life. Like, they cannot lose this series.
Yeah. And if, again, if you're a Sixers fan, you're looking at game 6 going, Raptors have the momentum. And then they win game 6. How demoralizing is it going to be going into that game 7? Like, that's this series just blew wide open to me. Now, we could have the Sixers come out tomorrow night and they could win, they could blow that game apart by 30 points. But I'm looking at game 6. I'm looking at game 6 going, nah, that's going to be a Raptors win.
Well, if you look at the 2 games in Toronto, that was the first one they were competitive in. They probably should have won that game. I feel like that was a game where somebody on the Raptors, Siakam maybe, somebody had 2 free throws late and missed both of them.
It was Achua,
and it kept it a tie game.
Yep. He could have
allowed that to
it.
Even, because then Philly came down and their final possession of the game was just the most horrific thing I've ever seen. I don't even know what I was watching. It was terrible.
The 3-point attempt.
Yeah, they were able to redeem themselves in overtime and come away with that after almost completely blowing it when he pokes the ball away from Embiid, and they're fortunate enough it goes out of bounds with just enough time for them to be able to get a shot off. Otherwise, that's 3 seconds with Toronto with the ball in their hands
getting the shot
to win that game. So the 2 games in Toronto, much closer. And then I don't know what happened in Philly the other night. That was like
there's no explanation for that. I mean, yeah, Embiid, like that's the thing. Okay, Embiid is not playing at 100%, but who's next up? Like, how do you adjust to get other touches, other players to? You can't just be a one-trick pony. Like, I don't want to talk anymore about the series. I just want to let it play out.
I just want to see next to where it says game 7. I want that if to just go away, and it just says necessary, because because time to buckle up, baby. Game 7 necessary.
This will be our only game 7 in the East.
You're calling it
right there. I'm calling it right now. You're
saying Raptors win game 6 in Toronto.
It's going to be, so Raptors win game 6. And honestly, man, that game tomorrow.
We said exercising the demons, bro. We said this series was over after like 1 game. We were like, no, this team stinks. They're done. Game 1 overreactions, baby. They'll get you.
That's what it's for. That's what it's all for. And again, the Sixers squad, they're just feeding the flames whenever Joel goes on this. Yeah, let me talk to Nick Nurse. Let me throw some shade at the refs. Let me talk some trash. Chirp, 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 chirp. That's just adding to the flames, man. This is going to 7 games, and then game 7, flip a coin. I don't even know. Yes, like,
can you imagine if our round 2 matchup is like Miami and Toronto? Like,
how even more like disappointing that would be to watch.
There's not as many teams playing at that point. There's only going to be 4 series going on total, but like they're going to find a way to put all of those games on NBA TV, and even though they're going
to be like the 6:30 p.m. They're going to be the first game, the 7.
Nobody's going to even be competing against them. There's not even going to be other games on, and they're just going to be like, no, that game can't be on national TV. We can't have that.
But hey, let's prayers up to the basketball gods that the Sixers find a way to get it done, to avoid a game 7, so we can continue hoping for our dream matchup of Sixers Bucks.
See,
in a 7-game series.
Here's what gets me is that 7 games of a healthy Embiid and a healthy Giannis. I desperately want that. But
now that he's not healthy anymore.
As somebody who's no, I don't care about that. Somebody who's not a Sixers fan or really a Bucks fan, I almost feel as though I might get more joy out of Doc Rivers blowing a 3-0 lead
first round.
Because like I just think that is so hilarious. And I can't imagine anyone will ever let them down. And the amount of Twitter slander and just absurdities is just NBA Reddit. I feel like that is going to be just so glorious.
Storyline in and of itself.
So currently, yes, I am rooting for that. Should the Sixers pull it out and face the Heat, I will be rooting for the Sixers to take that so that we can see Bucks Sixers.
Of course, we still have to root for it, Justin, because the Celtics Bucks, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Like that compensates for what could be a subpar matchup if we've got Toronto going up against the Heat. But we haven't seen that before. We have not seen the Sixers play the Bucks in the East. I want to see it. So we spent more than enough time digging into the perils of Philadelphia and Doc Rivers and Joel's thumb.
Knock, knock.
Knock, knock. Here comes the Doc. The Doc is in.
We're going to have to update our...
that meme.
Yeah.
Let's...
the Grim Reaper. And you're going to have to change the button to fire Doc Rivers or trade Simmons, and the option was to both, but they got rid of Simmons and they could still do the same thing. So
trade Harden. All right, man. Jumping over at the West, we I want to start with the one that's most predictable. Golden State Denver is Nikola against the world, man. And it just
okay. You say most predictable, but we had this as a fire matchup, and this was a toss-up to you in a game 7, and here we are. And as I said, Golden State is just going to be Golden State, and they're going to be in the finals. This is disgusting. Except I'm picking the Mavs, so don't hold me to that. But the Warriors, everything is just going to fall right for them. Luka's going to re-injure his calf. Booker's going to not be able to play.
You think
Pat Beverly is going to club Ja Morant and like break his kneecaps. Everything will fall their way. I know. Oh, it's early. It's still round 1. Just be forewarned.
Okay, I'm going to be a little more optimistic that the Warriors will not have such an easy. So I'm looking less at Golden State, because to me they're playing like such a depleted Nuggets squad that when we talked last week, I was obviously more optimistic then, but I'm seeing more clearly that like mentally this Nuggets squad has given up. When Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray were not going to be coming back anytime soon, the squad just isn't there. I mean, it's miraculous that they even won that one game, and the Warriors had their chances to put that one away, and they just couldn't close it out in Denver in game 4. So I'm looking less at this Warriors roster, and I'm looking more at the Grizzlies, like what they need to do to close out this series against the Wolves. Because I think this Grizzlies squad, I'm still like pretty high on their stock right now. I think that they are so deep and they're so talented and they're peaking that in a 7-game series with home court advantage, I would still take them over the Warriors. But if this series goes to 7 games and we have, I think it was game 3, I was watching. Ja was like, he was taking hits. He was falling on the floor. The guy is relentless, and he lays his body out there. So
I know,
I'm
but
looking at more games like, yeah, he's risking the biscuit.
you've got two kind of, I don't know, I guess two paths that his career could sort of head. He could have a Dwayne Wade like career where he's able to keep and sustain his peak for a while and then just drops off the map. Or you could have the Derrick Rose where you throw your body around and you're just done and like blow out your knees and beat your body and just become a role player due to injuries. The troubles that they're having with Minnesota gives me a lot of skepticism for them if they get out of the series to do any damage against the Warriors. Like, if they wanted to be successful against the Warriors, this series with Minnesota needed to be over. And it's not. It's just, I don't know.
I mean,
is this the series where the coach didn't call timeout after a consecutive 20-point
runs?
21?
Yes. That was game 3. So game 3, and this is the game I watched like most of it. Minnesota had what, they went in halftime. Well, no, they came out real fast. Yeah,
they had 2 20-point leads. They had a 26-point lead in the first half and like a 22-point lead in the second half.
Oh, it was just like, it was gross watching it. I mean, it was incredible for the Grizzlies, but it's like, oh my gosh, if you're a Timberwolves fan, like, this is so painful.
Like, I didn't think they would even be competitive or win another game in the series. And then the Wolves came out and won game 4. Like, Memphis needs to put the foot on the throat there and be like, we just totally like dejected you, totally beat, and then you just let them come out in game 4 and tie the series back up. I don't know. They're young. They don't have any deep playoff experience or runs. And I just don't think they're going to be capable of making much of a dent in the Golden State Warriors. I think they're going to look totally lost on the defensive end.
I'm still optimistic on this Grizzly squad. I think they're caught looking ahead. It's just what's so weird about, like, this is a roller coaster ride of not protecting home court, man. Like, that first game was like, how do you open up and lose at home in game 1? That was absurd to me. But then game 3, Minnesota goes right back home and drops a dud. This so I don't know. I could see this. I think Grizzlies will win comfortably tonight, and then I see them wrapping it up in game 6. I think the Wolves' luck will run dry in 6 games.
I hope so.
Let's talk Mavs Jazz. What you got for this one?
So this is another, I don't know. I was a bit flummoxed
perplexing
here. Yeah, like Dallas with like no real discernible stars or anybody of like any name value took a 2-1 lead on Utah. Luka comes back and they just collapse in the last 40 seconds to lose game 4. And then the Jazz just continue to be the Jazz. Like I feel like everybody is fed up with the Jazz, and like they're frauds. But Luka is in like a total of like 16 playoff games for his career, is like one of the greatest playoff performers of all time. And I just need him to win the series and get on to the next round, and get a series win under his belt and just be ready to go, because there's just something about watching him play that is, it's just ridiculous. I think that I don't know. I would say that he is next in line, but Giannis is so young and his prime is going to go for several more years. But Luka could be the best player in the NBA. He's so ridiculous.
I agree.
Just unguardable, an unstoppable force. And it's just like, so I don't know. It's majestic to watch. One of my most fun players to watch. And he's doing it with like, I don't know. Like
Dwight Powell,
Dwight
Jalen
Powell,
Brunson,
Jalen Brunson,
Dorius Finney-Smith. Who else?
Reggie Bullock. Like,
Yep. Reggie Bullock.
Like who? Like I don't know. It's
Maxi Kleba. Maxi Kleba, Davis
Bertans.
Who else we got? Oh yeah, we hit on these guys. Josh Green is pretty much Boban, our man. No playing time here. What's
Frank Ntilikina? Just remember when like the Knicks drafted him.
So, I watched a lot of Game 4 when I was in Florida, and what was crazy to me, the Mavs totally should have won. Like this series should have been over. In 5, like that. I remember the possession where I think it was 99-98, and Luka's got the ball. He absolutely threads the needle, like great pocket pass to Dwight Powell, roll into the hoop. Dwight Powell goes to the free throw line to shoot 2, could have put the game away, and he misses them both. And then it was just like, I think the next play was that roll to the rim, the Gobert alley-oop, and then they missed the shot on the other side. But that was like, they should have won that game. They really should have. They blew it.
Yeah.
The Jazz frauds.
They're just, I don't know. I just keep thinking about the epic duel between Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray, and I wonder, where have those two guys gone? I feel like Donovan Mitchell has that was like a peak, and he has not lit a playoffs on fire since then. And Jamal Murray has just been hurt in perpetuity.
Yeah. He's been out for more than 12 months. We got one last series here before we wrap up. What's going on here? Why the heck is this a 2-2 series? That week 1 overreactions, we wrote this one off. We were like, this has got to be.
We said
this is like the least appealing, disgusting Pelicans, no motivation, and here we are.
The Pelicans don't have any fight. They're dogs. They just don't they can't even keep it close. They're not going to try. They don't have enough in them. And then they come out and win game 2. And I'm like, what is happening? And then they won again in game 4. And it's like,
they lose game 3 at home, but win game 4 at home
by 3 points. This is crazy. Devin Booker's out. Chris Paul is old, although still very good, but he can't give you 7 straight games of carrying the load. So DeAndre Ayton, who is playing very well, they need these other guys to step up rather than whining and crying about fouls, about this, about that. They just need to, I mean, you won 64 games this year. Can you go out there and like win a game without Devin Booker? I mean, he didn't play in all of them, and you had a great record without him. So like, what is happening here? I don't know. Also, Zion Williamson is healthy, and you're 2-2. You need to bring him out and have him play. I don't care about anything. He needs to play. This could change the trajectory.
Get him in shape. Like,
this could change the trajectory of your entire franchise. An 8 over a 1 seed, and you're what? Not going to let him play? Hello.
All I gotta say is,
it's not as if losing now gives you some watery pick. Get the guy out there. He hasn't played in forever. He's doing 360 windmills between the legs.
He's showing it off in pre-games.
Like, this guy needs to be on the court. This is dereliction of duty, negligence of the highest order. I just can't believe that this guy is not playing. It's 2-2. You're the 8 seed.
Yeah.
Put him out there.
It's awfully intriguing, Justin, but all I got to say is he looks awfully comfortable on the bench. He looks awfully comfortable. And
Ben Simmons comfortable?
No, not Ben Simmons comfortable, but he's definitely not in shape to come out and play at all. There's a difference between throwing down dunks in pregame and actually running the floor for even 5 minutes at a time. He is nowhere close.
What has he been doing if not conditioning?
He's been shooting Mountain Dew commercials with Zach LaVine.
Well,
he's been playing video games. He's not coming back. He really isn't. But man, that would be awesome if he did.
I have nothing else to say.
I do. I have something else to say. May I introduce you to our newest triple BP candidate, my man, giving Chris Paul, putting him in the clamps. My man, Jose Alvarado. This dude, he's
my man from the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, baby.
Oh my gosh, he's getting Chris Paul on 8-second backcourt violations. He had that sneak attack steal on Chris Paul. Like he's saying, Chris Paul, you the point guard. I see your game, and I'm taking it to another level. I am going to out troll the league's troll. And he's doing it with love. He's doing it with heart. He's doing it with energy. I am loving every minute when that dude is on the court. It is just Jose Troll Alvarado, or as I saw on his Twitter, Grand Theft Alvarado.
Grand Theft Alvarado, baby.
Gotcha.
Dude, that's hilarious.
You got any? Who have you got? You got any emerging candidates for triple BP?
Not emerging. Desmond Bain has been ridiculous. Triple J has kind of let me down in the triple BP category, as he, I believe, has more fouls committed than baskets made in the series so far. But you got to take the good with the bad sometimes, because I feel like he also had a game where he had like 6 blocks. But it is what it is. Jordan Poole is ridiculous. He makes me sick. I don't even want to think about it. That's all I got. Bruce Brown is the best player on the Nets. I don't know how that happened.
Yep.
first steal of Scotty Barnes' career was the theft of Rookie of the Year trophy.
Marcus Smart, defense. Well, I guess he had won that. I think.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Jason Tatum, most improved player.
Except that didn't go to Jason Tatum. It went to John Morant.
John Morant.
That's another steal because when you're like the first or second pick in the draft, you don't get to be most improved player. You're just making the natural progression of your career arc. But Darius Garland, he should have been the most improved player. I'm really sickened by the voting. Nobody cares about small market franchise Cleveland.
Memphis is not a small franchise. Small franchise.
It goes against my narrative.
Okay. I see how it is. I appreciate the honesty. So one last question, Justin, for our viewer out there. Biggest disappointment here, multiple choice. I'm giving you 4 options here. Number 1, Lakers not making the playoffs. Number 2, Nets getting swept against the Celtics. Number 3, and these last 3 and 4 are hypotheticals here. Okay, so we're gonna put on our imaginary thinking cap. 3, Sixers lose in 7 games, or 4, the Suns lose in 6 or 7 games.
All right, so it's funny you asked this or said this or gave me option number 1 was the Lakers not making the playoffs, because that's obviously the biggest disappointment. Because if you ask me about the other 3 things, what's the opposite of disappointment? I couldn't be more appointed. I couldn't be more appointed in the fact that those 3 things are a possibility.
Those are all just like you're just welcoming all those scenarios.
Yes, I mean, let it rain down upon me. If
sweet judgment, vengeance. You just want to see the league burn, don't you, Justin? You just want to watch it all burn.
Well, the biggest disappointment I would say would be Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets not really being competitive at all. And that is very disappointing to me.
But that's not objectively no.
What?
That's not objectively just like.
And then I think about them just having Nikola and like all these guys hurt and like how terrible their showing is. And I think to myself, how did the Lakers not make the playoffs? Like, how horribly constructed was that team and roster? Like, you can say injuries all you want. There are a lot of teams that had a lot of guys that were injured and they still made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The Clippers at least made the play-in. I don't know why, but I just feel like I want to just quote Herm Edwards and be like, you play to win the game. And I feel like the New Orleans Pelicans aren't doing that because they're cowards. And I'm so upset about Zion not playing. This is just a golden opportunity. But I digress. That's a disappointment. Nikola Jokic and Denver stinking up the joint is a disappointment.
See, I completely
the 76ers blowing a 3-0 lead would be the greatest thing since Doc Rivers blew a 3-1 lead as the coach of the Clippers to Nikola himself.
Poetic justice. But
I don't even remember. What was the third option?
Nets getting swept, or no? Nets? That was the second one. Sixers was third. Suns was the fourth.
Oh, yeah, Nets, Sixers, Suns.
And you hit on it earlier. A number 1 seed losing to an 8 seed, which I feel like has happened before, but it's incredible. Oh,
the only
it
time
has never happened to a play-in team. And again, we've only had the play-in around for a couple of years. There have been.
This is only the second year of it. Don't even start with this.
I know.
Oh, it's never happened for a play-in team.
But still.
Get that weak stuff out of here.
It's not going to happen for a while.
It's the last time I believe it happened was
The
when
Warriors.
Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs lost to Baron Davis and the Warriors 1-8. And I remember watching that one live, and I feel I've brought this up, I know, on the show before, but I just remember Baron Davis just totally posterizing somebody and getting so hyped that he like went to like lift up his jersey, and he just had like a huge back brace, like weightlifter's brace on his back. Like, I'm like, how is this guy? He just like demolished the number 1 seeded Mavericks, and he's got like an icy hot back patch, like whole belt wrapped around because his like back is about to explode.
He
I'm like,
couldn't
this
even
is
feel
insane.
his legs were just completely numb. He lost
Yeah,
his legs.
he's just in the is at halftime. He's just like in the back of the locker room with like Jose Canseco. He's just getting like pumped.
So I think what you're saying is the Sixers would be the biggest objective disappointment. Like I think the way I'm thinking of this question, Justin, is more so
The
like
biggest failure.
the biggest failure, or like the biggest falling short of expectations. And so while you can be personally overjoyed by the thought of Doc blowing a 3-0 lead, I think that has to be the, like, okay, Suns, Devin Booker's out. Like,
Just think of the memes. Think of the think think of
and
my
then,
personal pure enjoyment.
like, and think of the
Put
narrative.
me ahead of yourself as a fan. Come on.
Like think of all these different narratives. So I feel like Lakers squad dysfunction, like they've already kind of driven off in the sunset. People have forgotten kind of how bad they are, and how quickly their season turned on itself. And like, okay, we talked earlier about Nets Celtics. It's like, it's less of how crappy the Nets were, and now it's more of the Celtics stealing the show. The ascendant Jason Tatum rises. Like, Boston's getting a lot of spotlight. And then I just think the narrative is going to be completely unavoidable and absolutely demolish the Sixers if they find a way. Again, this is hypothetical, but if this happens, my lord, it is
If
going
this
to
happens, the Sixers need to be relegated to the G League. I had enough of them in the NBA. Send them down. Like, they should do NBA like they do like European soccer, where the bottom 3 teams of the league have to go down and play the next level next year,
Yeah.
and the best 3 teams from that level get to take a chance and step up. So
Yep.
like, G League affiliates should get to come up and play in place of the Orlando Magic, and teams are like, but if this is a dream come true, just think about, so like, I know you have a certain fandom for the 76ers, but say that never occurred. You're just a San Antonio Spurs fan, or, I'm just a Cavaliers fan. I'm not a fan of, LeBron or whatever. You're just a general fan.
Mm-hmm.
The most like unlikable things, like teams and people, are like outside of the Warriors, which there's still hope. Nikola could pull off a 3-0 of his own, but I'm not holding out hope for that. Like the storied franchises, the Lakers always win, always get everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely bomb. Worst regular season in franchise history. They stink. Just embarrassing fashion. They're out. The Brooklyn Nets, so
Super
unlikable,
team.
so just out of touch with the reality. Just get swept, knocked on their behinds, just smacked in the mouth. 4 straight games out. Doc Rivers and the Philadelphia 76ers and quitter James Harden could potentially be the first ever 3-0 number 1 seed. Phoenix Suns could get ousted in round 1. Like, that's like, as like a casual fan or whatever, you want upsets. You want the bad teams to lose. Like,
You
You
want
just
to, yeah, you want to. I mean, there's so many underdog stories. Like it, the league is upside down. It is on fire. It's burning.
and you know who's there? Who's just gonna like snatch it up and get away with
Golden
it
State.
again?
The
And then
death
just they can't keep getting away with this.
I feel like the background music whenever the Warriors should play should be da 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 da, the Galactic Empire.
Did you see
Sweeping in.
the edit of their logo of like the circle logo with the Golden Gate Bridge, but it was just like
Mhm.
superimposed over top of the Death Star.
I
So it's
did
just like
not.
a circle, and it's just like the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever.
Background
Because
for
their
next
new
week.
jerseys just have like a big circle and then the bridge. And somebody like superimposed it over the Death Star. Like, I hate them. So like, yeah, I think for round 2, when we get there, we're gonna have to talk about who's still standing in our least likable squads. So not who you should be rooting for in round 2, but who you should be rooting against. So
Yeah, buckle
I'm big
up.
on that train.
What we thought would be an uneventful round 1 has been everything but that. And
It's
this time next week, we could be talking about one of the most epic postseason collapses on multiple levels. We could. Oh, it is so tasty, almost as tasty as a Crunchwrap Supreme.
all I can see is
Oh,
Grizz sitting there with everything burning down around him, going, "It's fine."
this is fine. This is fine. Speaking of Grizz, got to come back. Got to come on the
They're
show.
down 8, Minnesota. I don't trust the Grizz, and I won't trust them till they can prove themselves. Much like I don't trust the Jazz and never will.
Okay.
Frauds.
There's plenty of time.
Oh, I know. I need the
There's
Grizz
so
to be
much
better.
time. Grizz are gonna take over. Don't worry
Miami
about
up
it.
6 on Atlanta in the 4th.
All right, bro. Until
My
next
man.
time.
Mexican pizza's back. Go get one. It's out. Find it. Eat it. Taste it. Believe it.
Bing bong. Mexican pizza. Oh.